we're going to start with some news. These are the latest updates. I was able to pull a couple of things that are going on. Looks like we're just right around the corner of herd immunity. So it looks like they're saying 8 weeks or so away from herd immunity, which would be like absolutely fantastic. The quote here is from the lieutenant governor, which is like the vice governor here, Josh Green, who said, we're almost at 1.2 million shots. And when we get to 2 million shots, we will essentially have taken care of 1 million people. And that should be herd immunity. So 1.2 million shots, not next. So again, you got to have two shots for the vaccination, but we're almost there. So that's kind of cool. I can't wait for that to be happening. Vaccine passport snag. I thought you all want to kind of know about that. So there's been a little bit of a hang up there on the vaccine passport. So the story was, for the past few shows, they've been talking about creating a vaccine passport in the state of Hawaii, meaning that a method for you to show that you've been vaccinated, and if you have, then you can travel inter-island without having to be tested with a negative test or go into quarantine. So if you have one of these vaccine passports, you kind of go through the airport, no problem. Now, that's moving forward. However, the snag is it only works if you've been vaccinated in the state of Hawaii. So it looks like right now, until things change, because apparently there's no national standard for vaccine passports. So because of that, it's going to work in Hawaii, primarily for Hawaii residents. So what this kind of is, it's sort of a local Hawaii resident pass to travel inter-island. Assuming you've been vaccinated here locally, you can move on. So it's a little bit of a snag. I was kind of excited about that. I thought that it was going to be applying for everybody, but apparently because there's no national standard yet, we have yet been marked with the number of the beast. So until that happens, it's going to be just a Hawaii thing only. Nation's lowest COVID rate. We're really stoked about that. Actually, pretty cool. Hawaii has gone through some serious lockdowns. It's been hardcore. It's it hasn't destroyed the economy, but the economy's taken a really, really big hit. But the plus side is we've got the nation's lowest COVID-19 case rate, according to the CDC data. So looks like when this report was written, which is the 22nd of April, we had 39 cases per 100,000, which was the lowest in the country. So kind of cool about that. Locals only weekend. So it looks like there's some interesting backlash that's happening right now with locals meaning, in this case, meaning Hawaii residents. There's been some backlash now that tourism is returning. We used to kind of have the beaches all to ourselves, and we kind of got spoiled and we kind of got used to it, right? There was nobody at the beach. Beach is completely empty, all to ourselves. Parking was available. Everything was available. No problem, enjoying ourselves. Now all the tourists are coming back, and we're getting upset about that. So there was actually a protest on Maui. There was a peaceful protest on Maui on the beach where Hawaii residents were like, hey man, we're give back the beach to local people, that kind of a thing. So it looks like there's been some proposals. One of them is going to be that they're talking about, this has been proposed, not passed. They're talking about having some things where resources would be reserved for Hawaii residents on the weekends. Certain beaches, certain parks would be state of Hawaii residents only for the weekends. We'll see what happens with that. Finally, we're putting some sand. Sand is going back in Waikiki Beach. There's some big construction equipment. They're replenishing the beach kind of one section at a time. They're taking sand that's offshore, tons and thousands of tons of sand offshore, throwing it on a container, moving the container back, dumping the sand back on the beach, and looks like we're going to have a kind of a brand new Waikiki Beach. You could look there. I've got something, zoom in on this real quick so you can see it. So you look at our case rate is looking good. Our fatalities are down. It looks like this thing is kind of just about licked. Hopefully that's the case. And of course, the weather is perfect. It's always perfect. We're varying more than, just look at that low temperature there of 70 degrees. 70 degrees for the next 7 days straight. That's a 0 degree variance in the lowest temperature and a 1 degree variance in the upper temperature. I love that part about Hawaii. All right, let's kind of go around and let's get some news update. Let me do a quick catch up from everybody over here first. Spencer, NYC in the house. Hope the weather you're in springtime over there, so hopefully the weather in New York City is nice. Give us a quick update. Joanne is a member of the Islander Ohana. Happy Aloha Friday and welcome back, Joanne. Great to see you. So, Dylan, what's been any non-real estate news that you want to kind of report on the Big On, or some anecdotal stories that you've been catching?
So I wanted to comment on, the vaccine passports, and to the contrary, there are some states that are going to outlaw it, right? And say you absolutely cannot impose that upon us, or we're not going to do it within the state. So interesting, the different persuasions that are out there and opinions on that. So yeah.
Let me guess, it's going to split along blue and red state lines. I'll take a wild guess. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. Wild speculation here. It's going to blue and red state lines. Great. Hey, Scott, any update, any news updates, anything you want to share that's occurred on Oahu that's not real estate related over the past 2 weeks?
Great. I just got back from this past weekend from a trip to the Big Island for my birthday and spent some time with the family over there. Dylan and I weren't able to catch up, but we will on one of these trips, and played some golf at the Mauna Lani, got to relax a little bit, and then go check out the seafood bar. I went to the seafood bar, my family's restaurant, for my birthday, and it's a good time. Relaxing.
So is the seafood bar still, is the seafood, I'm assuming it's the seafood bar is still up and running?
It is. In fact, when we were I tried to get restaurant reservations like 3 weeks in advance and couldn't. And then I called Canoe House down at the Mauna Lani to see if we could get in. And they said, our earliest reservation is mid-May. And I know the hotels over there, they're like 70%, 50 to 70% occupancy, but they're going to go up to almost 100%. And you can't get into any place. The restaurant reservations are full, and the lines are sometimes an hour long right now to be able to get into restaurants. We had a real difficult time being able to get into places.
We're in this funky stage right now where tourism is only half as what it is, or whatever, it's only at 40% or whatever the number is. It's significantly down. But because the restaurants haven't quite opened up yet, or the inventory hasn't quite opened up yet, there's like shortages of everything, like the rental cars that we talked about in our last show.
I mean, that the barge for the sand is definitely not a sexy item when you're out on Waikiki Beach and you look out there and this big ugly barge out in the middle of the water, pumping sand up onto the barge, and then they filter it and then pump it onto the beach. So it's definitely not pretty looking. The other thing is that the other comment about going to the Big Island, my biggest snafu there was not the COVID line going through for that portion. That went pretty smooth. It was when I got to the rental car portion where the line was out the door into the parking lot. It took over an hour just to get my rental car. And I finally asked the guy when I got up there, and I was like, what's going on? And they had merged 3 of the rental car companies into one building because they're doing the renovations on the others. And it just, even when I dropped my car off, it was the same line out the door. I'm like, they haven't figured this out yet, like how to correct it. So Scott, at our last show, rental cars on the Big Island weren't even available, but the ones that, you had to go to Turo for $300 a day. What did you end up paying for your rental car? Oh, mine was cheap. I did it about a month and a half ago, I think. It was only a couple of $100 for the 4 days that I was there. It was like $89 a day. So I happened to get it in a good window.
You're lucky. You got planning. Planning is the name of the game there. You did a lot of planning.
Yep.
I guess you knew your birthday. I guess you knew when your birthday was going to be coming around. So that was a pretty easy day to plan for. I was going to say, you should just kind of turn around and kind of re-rent it. Too bad you couldn't like sublease the car. You could have made a couple $100 a day. So speaking of, hey Dylan, did you ever do the Turo thing, or you're just too busy? You're just too busy closing deals in real estate. Now, it doesn't make any sense. Don't forget to unmute.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Mainly because I got some friends that need to use it. So I got a real estate client that bought something that is here and needs it for a week. So they're using it right now. And then I got some other friends coming in early next month. And so I'm going to let them borrow it. And yeah, so to me, it's more satisfying. It's making, helping folks out and letting them use it when they need it. And,
Hey, who would have thought? What a great service for buy your house from Dylan and get to use his car while you wait for the rental car agency. So as we were talking earlier, I think what's going on with the industry, or with the visitor industry overall, it's in this really weird place right now where the industry is still significantly down from the normal part of the year. I think we're like 40%. We're operating at 40%, so we're like 60% down. So it's not anywhere near where it needs to be. But everything's shut down, And all those things that are shut down haven't quite opened up yet. So not all the restaurants are open. The cars they're not, the rental cars are not here because they got shipped off because they all got sold. So there's this weird place where, like Scott was saying, about a month ago or so, we had a heck of a time trying to find a restaurant. We had some friends over, friends and family from the mainland, and we had a heck of a time trying to find a place. So there's this weird thing going on now where we have a lack of inventory because there's too much demand, but nowhere near where it used to be. Go ahead, Dylan.
This is anecdotal, but I kind of feel like what I'm seeing is that, and this is true, like kind of in real estate, but then I know a lot of people that when they were laid off from their service industry job or somewhere in the tourism sector, people are creative, right? They're not going to sit around and do anything. So if you're a hustler, you're going to go out there and figure out a way. And so people started like little pop-up businesses selling soap and other handmade things. People went into driving Uber instead and could make just as much money. A lot of people actually went into real estate. So I got several new agents that work with me that came from, being a waitress or working at a hotel and that are doing okay and, don't plan to go back. So I think it's going to be a challenge for the service industry is to recruit those experienced people back when they've gone and kind of moved on and done something else. And in every industry, your best people, your most capable people are going to be good and capable no matter what they do in life. And so, they've left those jobs and found something else to do. And I think it's going to take some time to train those folks back up and get that level of service and, that number of employees back to where it was.
Yeah, you can't just switch the industry off and then back on again. You just can't say, okay, we're going to shut the entire industry down, for about 12 months. And okay, we're back open again, everybody. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. That's a really good point. And plus you're being incentivized through government money to not go back to work. So that's another problem as well.
And that was the other piece of that is that unemployment piece. Some people, they just sat around and did nothing and, enjoyed the gravy train. But other people use that as kind of a transitional point to start up a small business or get into real estate or do something else where you didn't have to take that big risk of losing your income right away when you get a new business wrapped up. And so a lot of people took advantage of that and are now have moved on from whatever they were doing because they found something better to do.
Scott, you were going to add something.
Yeah, there was a front page article in the West Hawaii Today, which is the Big Island newspaper, when I was over there, and I was talking to Dave over at the seafood bar, and I could see it when I was in the restaurants, the lack of staffing and just, the lines and stuff. And one of the biggest things the article said is that they're having a hard time finding workers now, partly because they're incentivized by the unemployment side or all the benefits they're getting from the government side. And it's like, hey, why do I want to go back to work when I'm either getting the same money or close to it, not working right now? So they're having a difficult time being able to find the employees to come back and staff those restaurants, hotels, etc.
I think we're in for a much different world that we're going to be coming back to, I think, than we think. So Joyce says you also get Costco shopping from Dylan. Dylan, is that like, or I think that's just between you and Auntie Joyce kind of a special service, or are you doing like a Costco shopping service for your real estate customers too, Dylan? What's up with that?
No, so during the COVID lockdown, when there was absolute quarantines, there was no exemption from it. If I had folks either returning back from the mainland or coming in to buy and doing a month-long trip or something like that, I had some one of my agents' daughters would go and take the list from them and shop from Costco or wherever they wanted, and then stock their fridge and their pantry. So when they got here, they didn't have to worry about going out and shopping, and they were good for 2 weeks. So yes, we can make that happen.
Dude, you have to. Okay, Dylan, I'm telling you right now, you have to fire your PR agent. Fire your PR agent, because that would have been like a great story. That would have been a great story to have when you would have gotten great coverage. Fire your PR agent, whoever the hell they are. They're doing a crappy job of doing PR. So Joyce, thanks, Joyce. Our tenant is concierge at the resort here. She couldn't even get a reservation for friends of mine who rented a home on the resort. Yeah, it is. Thank you, Joyce, for the validation. It is a crazy moment.